wanted no chance. Two little engines, best of friends. One is blue, the other green. Part of the really useful team. Jumping around and around the track, hauling cargo back to back. Thomas and Percy, best friends you've seen. Hey, Thomas, moving down the branch line around that corner, rolling on the tracks. It's great to see you heaving and happily hauling. It won't be long till you are back. We're on our way, we have our fare. Down to the station, the engines are there. Every day there's so much to do. Hey, Thomas, we know that you'll pull through.
The engines of Sodor come in all shapes and sizes. There are big engines like Boom, small engines like Pug, and diesels like Bear. However, some engines are looked down upon by the bigger engines.
Poor Molly soon felt the brunt of this.
How come the fucking controller chose Edward to pull the midnight passenger train? He's not even strong enough. The fucking controller should have chosen an engine like me, as splendid as me, to pull the midnight passenger train.
Indeed. A common goods engine shouldn't pull a special train like that. He should want strong engines.
Pah! Any engine could pull a train. Quiet down, Henry. The real engines are talking here.
Molly felt targeted.
I'm sure any engine can pull a special train if they really did want to.
She puffed shyly.
Well, it's a shame that even they want to, they wouldn't pull it. End of discussion.
Grunted Gordon indignantly, and he puffed off.
Don't listen to them. They're too puffed up in their smoke boxes to know about real work.
Said Edward kindly. And he set off as well. Meanwhile, at the harbor, Percy was shunting when he heard a loud roar coming from Boko's engine.
Oh dear, Boko, are you alright?
I don't think so. It's been making this noise all day and... Oh.
With a loud splutter, Boko's engine halted him, with black smoke flowing through his vents. Bear took Boko to the works, but now nobody could take the train.
Well, your engine's burnt out. You're going to be in the works for a while, but at least you'll get some rest for the time being. That's probably why it's all buggy anyways.
Percy was puffing down the line as he was thinking to himself.
If Boko can't take the cars, then who can?
Then, an idea flew into his smoke box as he raced towards Tidmouth Yards.
Molly was getting ready to take a train of slate when Percy rushed in.
There's an issue.
The green engine puffed nervously.
Boko's broken down, and there's no one who can take the special to Figgerstown.
Oh, I wish I could help a bit, but Gordon and James said common goods engines can't pull special trains.
They're always like that, Molly. But the train can't be late. It has to go to the mainland.
I'll try.
Puffed Molly, and she rushed off as Percy took her trucks of slate. Molly found the train. It was very long. Now she was really worried.
Go on, Molly. You can do it.
Said her driver. Molly winced and gently puffed up the train. Wheel turn by wheel turn and puff by puff, she steamed out the harbor. Wheel turn by wheel turn, puff by puff, she steamed out the harbor. As Bear was passing Molly, he was shocked by how hard she was trying. He blew his horn long and loud as Molly puffed on.
Go, Molly, go.
Molly raced through Crosby where Wilbur was in the siding. Wilbur was surprised when Molly rushed past.
You're almost there, Molly. Go on, you can do it.
Gordon couldn't believe his eyes either.
Not bad for a small engine.
Molly then hit the hill. She pulled and pushed the heavy trucks. She got to the top and raced through Mary, where Billy was waiting.
Go, Molly, go!
He said, as he whistled and cheered for her. She raced through Kildare, knowing she had proven herself. Soon, she had finally halted at Bakerstown, where another engine took the train away. That night, Molly returned to Tinmouth Sheds. Edward and Henry chuckled as Gordon and James stayed respectfully quiet. They knew that engines could take anything if they put it to the test. The Express is a very important train. It goes from Knapford all the way to Barrow and Furnace. Gordon usually pulls it. This makes him very puffed up in his smoke box, which makes the other engines really annoyed. However, the summer rush month had arrived. It was all buffers on deck. Henry, Molly, and the twins were pulling goods left from right. Annie, Clarabelle, and Henrietta were packed to the brim, and Elsie's case wasn't any better. The Express wasn't helping the engine's case. Without Boko, they were down one engine for the Express runs. Worse yet, Sotama had opened a new service prior to the Express. The Special Express runs to London during the summer. James and Bear were roaring off their wheels. Sir Hat soon had a plan.
Good morning, engines. I bought 2 new engines to help run the new Thunderbird Express. I've also brought Mia and Rebecca back here to help run the rest of the main line and help assist with other goods work. Treat them all warmly.
Yes, sir. New engines. I can handle that silly old Express and bring it to Doncaster and back, let alone King's Cross,
Grumbled Gordon.
Don't be daft. You're simply going to burn yourself out,
said Thomas.
Aye, you're gonna run yourself into the ground,
puffed Donald.
I don't need.
He paused as Molly puffed by with the goods train.
Other engines to tell me how to do my jobs,
scoffed Gordon.
Eventually you do. The rails are all warped and I've been going backwards and forwards down the main line.
Puh!
Scoffed Gordon, and he puffed away. A little while later, 2 diesels purred into the goods shed.
I'm Emma,
called one. Duck and Billy were surprised. They had never seen engines like these before.
I'm Duck. Nice to meet you two,
said Duck politely.
I'm Billy,
stammered Billy.
Come on, Emma, let's find our coaches.
They're incredible!
Indeed,
said a very impressed Duck. Problem was, they both knew Gordon wouldn't think so. Gordon was puffing down the main line when he heard a loud and long horn. 2 blurs raced past him.
Great Scott!
He said in shock. He soon arrived at Vicarstown and saw the 2 blurs.
Who are you?
He grunted.
Oh, I'm Emma, and that's...
Alright, whatever. You've come to replace me, haven't you?
Before Emma could speak, Pip honked her horn and tugged Emma back down to Knapford. Gordon was speechless and a little jealous. Gordon fumed to the others that night.
The nerves of them, now bothering to answer my questions and smugly show off their speed.
Oh, how terrible.
I'll show them who's the fastest.
Gordon woke up fresh and early. He puffed into Knapford Yards and blew his whistle loudly.
Rosie, wake up!
Oh, rattling rods, Gordon, what was that for?
Shut my train, quickly now!
Bossy boiler.
She biffed the train in Gordon. Pip and Emma purred into Tidmouth. That was when Gordon saw his only chance.
Tell me, you two, would you like to race?
Don't be square, Pip. This is our chance to test our speed at our new home. They've only had a sample of our speed. Let's show them the full course.
The conductor blew his whistle. Soon they were off. Pip and Emma rocketed into the distance. Pip and Emma soared over the hill. But instead of Gordon racing over with them, he soon felt the weight of the trucks holding him back. The trucks stopped as soon as this happened, and still struggling, Gordon got to the top. The trucks biffed and bumped him hard.
Oh no, he's lost.
Stop it! I need to win! I need to!
Boko had just gotten out of the works. The points were set into the work shed. The twin diesel stopped, but Gordon didn't.
Stop! Stop! Slow down, you hooligans!
Just missing Boko, he swerved into the work shed and banged through the big brick wall. Luckily, his driver and fireman escaped with only a few bruises and a broken arm.
Oh, the indignity.
I've told you time and time again to stop racing. If Thomas and Bertie can't do it, neither can you, Gordon.
Oh, ow.
Gordon seems to feel sorry, and with another thing to add to his aching smoke box, I think he's going to learn well from his mistake. Don't you?
Branch Line Engines by the Reverend W. Audrey. Thomas comes to breakfast. Thomas the Tank Engine has worked his branch line for many years. "You know just where to stop, Thomas," laughed his driver. "You could almost manage without me." Thomas had become conceited. He didn't realize his driver was joking. "Driver says I don't need him now," he told the others. "Don't be so daft," snorted Percy. "I'd never go without my driver," said Toby earnestly. "I'd be frightened." "Pooh," boasted Thomas. "I'm not scared." "You'd never dare." "I would then, you'll see." It was dark next morning when the firelighter came. Thomas drowsed comfortably as the warmth spread through his boiler. He woke again in daylight. Percy and Toby were still asleep. Thomas suddenly remembered. "Silly stick in the mud," he chuckled. "I'll show them. Driver hasn't come yet, so here goes." He cautiously tried first one piston, then the other. They're moving, he whispered. "I'll just go out, then I'll stop and whoosh. That'll make them jump." Very, very quietly, he headed for the door. Thomas thought he was being clever, but really he was only moving because a careless cleaner had meddled with his controls. He soon found his mistake. He tried to whoosh, but he couldn't. He tried to stop, but he couldn't. He just kept rolling along. The buffers will stop me, he thought hopefully. But that siding had no buffers. It just ended at the road. Thomas's wheels left the rails and crunched the tarmac. Horrors! He exclaimed and shut his eyes. He didn't dare look at what was coming next. The station master's family were having breakfast. They were eating ham and eggs. There was a crash. The house rocked, broken glass tinkled, plaster peppered their plates. Thomas had collected a bush on his travels. He peered anxiously into the room through its leaves. He couldn't speak. The station master grimly strode out and shut off steam. His wife picked up her plate. "You miserable engine," she scolded. "Just look what you have done to our breakfast. Now I shall have to cook some more." She banged the door. More plaster fell. This time it fell on Thomas. Thomas felt depressed. The plaster was tickly. He wanted to sneeze, but he didn't dare in case the house fell on him. Nobody came for a long time. Everyone was much too busy. At last workmen propped up the house with strong poles. They laid rails through the garden, and Donald and Douglas, puffing hard, managed to haul Thomas back to the yard. His funnel was bent, bits of fencing, the bush and a broken window frame festooned his front, which was badly twisted. He looked comic. The twins laughed and left him. He was in disgrace. "You are a very naughty engine." "I know, sir. I'm sorry, sir." Thomas's voice was muffled behind his bush. "You must go to the works and have your front end mended. It will be a long job." "Yes, sir," faltered Thomas. "Meanwhile," said the Fat Controller, "a diesel rail car will do your work." "A diesel, sir?" Thomas spluttered. "Yes, Thomas. Diesels always stay in their sheds till they are wanted. Diesels never gallivant off to breakfast in station masters' houses." The Fat Controller turned on his heel and sternly walked away. A close shave. So Duck came to Edward's station. "It's not fair," he complained. "Diesel has made the Fat Controller and all the engines think I'm horrid." Edward smiled. "I know you aren't," he said. "And so does the Fat Controller. You wait and see." Duck felt happier with Edward. He helped him with his trucks and coaches, and sometimes helped foreign engines by pushing their trains up the hill. But Gordon, Henry and James never spoke to him at all. One day he pushed behind a goods train and helped it to the top. Peep, peep, goodbye, he called, and rolled gently over the crossing to the other line. Duck loved coasting down the hill, running easily with the wind whistling past. He hummed a little tune. Peep, peep, peep. That sounds like a guard's whistle, he thought. But we haven't a guard. His driver heard it too and looked back. Hurry, Duck, hurry, he called urgently. There's been a breakaway. Some trucks are chasing us. There were 20 heavily loaded trucks. Hurrah, 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 they laughed. We've broken away, we've broken away, we've broken away. And before the signalman could change the points, they followed Duck onto the downline. Chase him, bump him, throw him off the rails, they yelled and hurtled after Duck, bumping and swaying with ever-increasing speed. The guard saved Duck. Though the trucks had knocked him off his van, he got up and ran behind, blowing his whistle to attract the driver's attention. Now what? Asked the fireman. As fast as we can, said the driver grimly. Then they'll catch us gradually. They raced through Edward Station, whistling furiously. But the trucks caught them with a shuddering jar. The fireman climbed back and the van brakes came on with a scream. Braking carefully, the driver was gaining control. Another clear mile and we'll do it, he said. They swept round a bend. Oh, glory! Look at that! A passenger train was just pulling out on their line from the station ahead. The driver leapt to his reverser. Hard over, full steam, whistle. It's up to you now, Duck, he said. Duck put every ounce of weight and steam against the trucks. They felt his strength. On, they yelled. But Duck was holding them now. I must stop them. I must. The station came nearer and nearer. The last coach cleared the platform. It's too late, Duck groaned and shut his eyes. He felt a sudden swerve and slid, shuddering and groaning, along the siding. A barber had set up shop in a wooden shed in the yard. He was shaving a customer. There was a sliding, groaning crash, and part of the wall caved in. The customer jumped nervously, but the barber held him down. It's only an engine, he said calmly, and went on lathering. Beg pardon, sir, gasped Duck. Excuse my intrusion. No, I won't, said the barber crossly. You frightened my customers and spoiled my new paint. I'll teach you. And he lathered Duck's face all over. Poor Duck. They were pulling the trucks away when the Fat Controller arrived. The barber was telling the workmen what he thought. I do not like engines popping through my walls, he fumed. They disturb my customers. I appreciate your feelings, said the Fat Controller, and will gladly repair the damage. But you must know that this engine and his crew have prevented a very serious accident. You and many others might have been badly hurt. The Fat Controller paused impressively. It was a very close shave, he said. Oh, said the barber. Oh, excuse me. He ran into his shop, fetched a basin of water and washed Duck's face. I'm sorry, Duck, he said. I didn't know you were being a brave engine. That's all right, sir, said Duck. I didn't know that either. You are very brave indeed, said the Fat Controller kindly. "I'm proud of you. I shall tell City of Truro about you next time he comes." "Oh, sir." Duck felt happier than he had been for weeks. "And now," said the Fat Controller, "when you are mended, you are coming home." "Home, sir? Do you mean the yard?" "Of course." "But, sir, they don't like me. They like Diesel." "Not now," the Fat Controller smiled. "I never believed Diesel. After you went, he told lies about Henry, so I sent him packing. The engines are sorry and want you back." So, when a few days later he came home shining with new paint, there was a really rousing welcome for Duck, the Great Western Engine. It was a beautiful moonlit night on the island of Sodor. The day's work was done and all the engines puffed safely home. "Thomas," whispered Percy, "will you tell us the end of the story?" "You mean the one about Duke, the lost engine?" "Exactly," said Henry. "But," added James, "please remind us of the story so far." So Thomas began, and here is the rest of the story he told. Duke was old and lived with two young engines called Stuart and Falcon. They teased Duke and called him Grandpuff, but they were happy together. Then their line was closed down and the young engines went away. Duke was left alone in the shed. He went to sleep, and everything around him changed. But Duke was never forgotten. Years went by, until one day not long ago, visitors came to see the Fat Controller. "We want to find Duke," they said, "and make him happy again. Maps lay everywhere. If we follow the old line shown here on the map," they said, "we'll travel north of the village and then into the mountains. And look, there's a sign for the old station. If Duke's anywhere, he's there." Everyone set off to the mountains far away. The days went by and the search grew harder, but the rescuers wouldn't give up. "Let's go this way," they said. But there was still no sign of Duke. "He's here somewhere," they said. They scrambled over hills and struggled over ditches. At last, their search ended. Quite by accident. "We found him! We found our sleeping beauty!" "Excuse me," inquired Duke. "Are you a vandal? Driver told me vandals break and smash things." "Bless you, no," laughed the rescuers. "We've dropped in because we couldn't find your door. Falcon and Stuart will be pleased to see you." "So they did remember," sighed Duke happily. Then they all set off to Duke's new home. Stuart and Falcon were ready with a big welcome. "He's here," they whispered. "Shh, shh." "You woke me up," grumbled Duke. "In my young days, engines were seen and not heard, Grandpuff, we know. We'll all be back to work tomorrow. We're glad you've come back. We can keep you in order now." "Keep me in order? Be off with you!" "Impudent scallywags," murmured Duke. But his old eyes twinkled, and for the first time in years he smiled as he dozed in the sun. "And that," said Thomas, "is the whole story. Did you like it?" "Yes, indeed," agreed the engines, "especially the happy ending." And soon they were all asleep too.
Every day, the Fat Controller came to the station to catch his train. "Hello," he always said to Thomas. "Remember, don't be impatient, Thomas. You can never be as strong and fast as Gordon, but you can be a really useful engine. Don't let the silly trucks tease you." There were lots of trucks, and Thomas worked very hard pushing and pulling them into place. There was also a small coach and two strange things his driver called cranes. "That's the breakdown train," he told Thomas. "The cranes are for lifting heavy things like engines and coaches and trucks." One day, Thomas was in the yard. Suddenly, he heard an engine whistling. "Help! Help!" A goods train came rushing through much too fast. The engine was James, and he was frightened. His brake blocks were on fire. "They're pushing me, they're pushing me," he panted. On, laughed the trucks. Still whistling, "Help, help!" Poor James disappeared. "I'd like to teach those trucks a lesson," said Thomas the Tank Engine. Soon came the alarm. "James is off the line! The breakdown train! Quickly!" Thomas was coupled on, and off they went. Thomas worked his hardest. "Hurry, hurry, hurry," he puffed. He wasn't pretending to be like Gordon. He really meant it. "Bother those trucks and their tricks. I hope poor James isn't hurt." James's driver and fireman were feeling him all over to see if he was hurt. "Never mind, James," they said. "It wasn't your fault. It was those wooden brakes they gave you. We always said they were no good." Thomas pushed the breakdown train alongside. Then he pulled the unhurt trucks out of the way. "Oh dear, they groaned. "Serves you right, puffed Thomas. He was hard at work, puffing backwards and forwards all afternoon. "This'll teach you a lesson, this'll teach you a lesson," he told the trucks. And they answered, "Yes, it will, yes, it will." They left the broken trucks, then with two cranes they put James back on the rails. He tried to move, but he couldn't, so Thomas helped him back to the shed. The Fat Controller was waiting anxiously for them. "Well, Thomas," he said, "I've heard all about it, and I'm very pleased with you. You're a really useful engine. James shall have some proper brakes and a new coat of paint, and you shall have a branch line all to yourself." "Oh, thank you, sir," said Thomas. Now Thomas is as happy as can be. He has a branch line and 2 coaches called Annie and Clarabel. He puffs proudly backwards and forwards with them all day. He is never lonely. Edward and Henry stop quite often and tell him the news. Gordon is always in a hurry, but never forgets to say poop poop, and Thomas always whistles peep peep in return.
What do you think of ducks?
Oh shit, Vince?
You're a fucking bitch.